Well, man, times are just getting tougher. I really have to say, I feel so justified for all the shit talking I did about these judges and for how kid glove they were with Trump. Particularly when he was dealing with felony charges. How much they just let him slide away with everything. All the while he claims to be the victim and assaults and insults the judges, the families of the judges constantly. And they just kept letting him get away with it because they didn't want to look impartial. The harsher Trump would be towards these judges and attacking their families, encouraging harassment against their children, the lighter the judges would be against him because they didn't want to seem impartial. They were terrified of retribution if Trump won. They thought, well, if you're going to fire at the king, you better not miss. If they're going to convict Trump and try to get him in jail time, and they fail, what happens when he takes office? What's he going to do to them? We're now entering a stage in which the legal infrastructure of this country that is meant to act as guardrails to executive power are now so afraid of executive power, they would never dare try to act as a check and balance for it. And a great example of this are the federal judges, who are now declining to block access for Doge and Elon Musk to access our federal data, and from firing workers who are being labeled as inefficiencies. And you want to know what? If I'm not mistaken, it's Judge Chutkan, if I'm not misremembering. The same judge that I ranted about giving Trump a slap on the wrist and refusing to actually impart justice because she was so afraid of looking impartial. Mind you, I'm pretty sure Trump literally called for her family to get death threats. Like, her children got death threats, and she gave Trump a slap on the wrist because she was so afraid of looking impartial. And now she's so afraid of Trump and retribution that she's doing this. Assuming I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the same judge. Let's find out.
The Trump administration continues to
top tier quality for the YouTube upload, ABC. Thank you. Exactly what I expect from the mainstream media on the left. I really hate how I think it was like I forget who I heard say this. It might have been Destiny for, like, fuck him, but, like, I heard this, like, years ago, but it stuck with me. And I feel like the Democrat Party really needs to hear this. Internet presentation in this day and age is the same as, like, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, putting on cologne, and wearing a suit and tie to appear at a big meeting or on TV. You need to present yourself respectfully and professionally if you want people to take you seriously. Meanwhile, you've got ABC and CNN regularly uploading videos that are blurred to hell because this is a 360p upload from one of the largest news outlets in America. CNN has this weird jitter problem with their new uploads where all the text jitters back and forth on screen. Like there's some kind of like it's changing aspect ratio 100,000 times a minute or something. Like the quality for the content uploaded by mainstream progressive media that should have all the money behind it to guarantee some level of quality assurance is so lazy and low effort. Like they just don't care. Like they're just trying to meet quotas for uploads on their channels. Meanwhile, Fox News and like Sky News Australia, the Australian Fox News, and all these right-wing outlets like Piers Morgan, whatever he's on, the British Fox News guy, basically, they all clickbait the algorithm so hard. Their thumbnails are on point. Their video quality is on point. They've got top-tier editing, and they're hitting the ball out of the park with the algorithm. And yet here you have, like, ABC just crapping this shit out. It's a local news channel, Zan, not the national. I don't even fucking care, honestly. I don't care if it's ABC7. It is so easy to upload a 1080p 30 FPS recording that is 2 gigabytes max in size. For in this case, a 2-minute clip, it would be less than a gigabyte in size up on YouTube at that quality. Plenty of people have been doing it. 13-year-olds in their bedrooms recording Minecraft videos have been doing it since 2013, okay? The idea that the progressive side of politics has these problems, and remind you, this isn't the only example. CNN, I brought up earlier, the CNN, is ridiculous. It would be like if Nancy Pelosi showed up to work every day in a tank top and sweatpants. It is the internet equivalent of Nancy Pelosi showing up to work in a tank top and sweatpants. Same fucking thing. It's the internet equivalent. We need to lock in. No, I know. No, I know the resolution. The maximum is 360p.
Reshape the federal.
Well, I know that seemed like a little bit of a stun lock there, but I think that's a really serious topic. Actually, though, like the left and like the mainstream left really needs to hardcore embrace professional internet presentation because all of politics is online now.
Government with the help of Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, but the efforts have resulted in clashes with several officials.
Today, a federal judge declined to immediately block Musk and the Doge from accessing government data systems or participating in worker layoffs. And ABC's Christian Cordero has the latest from Washington.
Nearly 1 month into his second term, today President Trump is moving ahead with his agenda, signing new executive orders. From coast to coast and north to south, recently fired federal workers and other protesters are condemning Doge's actions as an overreach of power. People gathered outside of a federal building in Chicago today.
It's not federal workers who are your enemy. It is people who put profits over workers.
And in Austin on President's Day.
I think they're calling.
We're actually going to be talking a bit more about this topic in the next segment because it's related. But I want to make sure this topic on its own gets a lot of attention. We are going to see mass firings of federal workers, and there will be consequences across the board. The problem is the consequences that are immediate are not going to be the worst of them. Even if Trump gets ousted and the Republicans are dominated in the next election, like across the board, we see an even greater win from Democrats than the Republicans got this time. If we see that come about, even then, the time and the work it's going to take to repair the federal government after the amount of damage that's been done, the data that will be stolen by Elon, hosted on his private servers and sold off to foreign interests, the damage that will do to the American people, the security breaches that are going to happen periodically over the next 4 years and maybe longer. It is going to take a long time to recover from this. This isn't something that can be undone on day one of the next administration. It's something that's going to take a whole 4 years minimum to undo before we can even start to make progress and get back to where we were again. How much damage are we taking here? Bro, we got hit with a super effective attack, all right? We got hit with a false swipe. We're at 1 HP right now.
Programs that they don't like, fraudulent, and they're not fraudulent, they just don't like them.
Those protesting Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency are pushing back against Doge's sweeping cuts to the workforce.
There was a big protest in Washington today, which is what we're seeing right now. Chuds on Twitter, as you should immediately have guessed, went from the people who broke into the Capitol, killed people, and were there with the explicit goal of stopping the election from being certified and to kill or capture our elected representatives. The people who said that those arrested doing that were political hostages are now calling for the arrest and deportation, and in some cases the death penalty for treason, because they claim that these people are all paid actors that are all part of the deep state that needs to be like charged with treason and given the death penalty. So it's not you disagree, so you should die. It's no one is actually progressive. All of these people are paid actors working for the evil deep state that we are pursuing with federal charges of sedition and treason. And these people are all part of that because obviously, as we know, this has been their motto. The Democrats are done. And they're exposing all of the electoral fraud now. It turns out there were only ever like 50,000 people in the whole country who ever voted Democrat. All these people are paid actors. They're all shills. This is their narrative. They're telling on themselves. They are. That is exactly true. Everything they accuse is the case for them. So write down everything they accuse the left of. They're self-reporting. They're not very original, so all they can do is just say what they're doing behind the scenes and accuse the left of doing that. But they've actively gone from saying the J6ers were political hostages to calling for the death penalty for these people.
Force and the potential access it's gaining along the way. The Social Security Administration's top official resigned, clashing with Doge employees over.
They are really calling for federal charges against her. They are really pushing for it.
For access to records that include the earnings, benefits, even medical records of millions of Americans. The White House says Doge's moves are to make good on Trump's campaign promise of slashing government spending.
When you look at some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that's being uncovered by Doge, they're finding levels of fraud.
By the way, one of the big things they're looking at fully defunding, like dismantling till it doesn't exist anymore, is NASA. Elon hates NASA because obviously he wants everything to be SpaceX. And so he's been a big part of the defunding of NASA and the push to privatize the space industry. And when you do that, when you have this political power to defund NASA and reallocate funds to your private company, then you start doing all the cool space stuff. Now it's not NASA shuttle launches everyone is watching, it's SpaceX launches everyone is watching. And how often have you heard people say, NASA doesn't deserve the funding, look at how much more Elon gets done with SpaceX. They have created a brainwashing effect in people in which what they see is NASA getting nothing done and Elon getting everything done, but what they don't know is billions have been getting funneled from the federal government to Elon for decades that have allowed this to happen. It's money that would have gone to NASA to frankly do more and better, and it wouldn't be privatized, so all Americans would be able to benefit from it in the long run. Think Velcro and microwaves. Instead, no, it's all privatized. All the technology they developed for this, privatized. They own it. They have it patented. It's all part of the plan. And you want to know what it's going to lead to? Mark my words. Clip it and ship it. Save it to your hard drive and label it so you can bring it up when it's relevant, because I know I'll be proven right. In the near future, I would actually bet by the end of this year, in the effort to take down NASA and to justify dismantling it entirely, Elon and Trump will claim that NASA faked the moon landing. They will claim that NASA fakes its ISS videos. And they will claim that the Earth is flat. Mark my words. It'll be those steps in order. NASA faked so-and-so, moon landing, ISS videos, whatever it may be. They'll shut it down, dismantle it because it's a waste of money. And to justify it even further, they might even go as far as to say that the Earth is flat in order to justify dismantling NASA. Like, we are seeing more Trump supporters start clinging to flat Earth than ever lately. Particularly Candace Owens has been pushing it. A lot of the biggest conspiracy pro-Trump accounts on Twitter are posting it. These are accounts followed by Elon and Trump, mind you. The one that I covered earlier today, the Concerned Citizen account, is followed by Elon. Like, I guarantee you, we are months, if not weeks, maybe days away from the Republican Party embracing flat Earth. They went anti-vax. They're talking about how dinosaurs aren't real. They don't believe in evolution. Why shouldn't they believe in flat Earth? Tell me why flat Earth isn't next. They're pushing the chemtrails idea. They don't believe they didn't believe in the coronavirus. They call it the pandemic. They're pushing the idea that there is a fog the government is releasing, but it's not Trump's government. It's the government. That's not Trump, though. The deep state is releasing fog that's like getting people sick and the fog outbreaks are mostly in Florida, a place that gets a lot of fog, by the way. Just so happens this evil sickness fog, it's totally not nature, it's man-made, is happening in Florida, a place where the federal and state governments are conservative. CNN lacks content quality. They lie and talk smack about Trump 24/7. It's cringe. I don't disagree that they lack content quality. That's my big criticism, but they do not lie about Trump 24/7. I would actually love an example of a lie CNN has told about Trump. Hey, you guys heard of this new thing? It's called fog. Yeah. And so, like, simultaneously, the narrative is the government that is controlled by Trump but isn't Trump's fault somehow, is producing the sickness fog, the fog vid. But it's also mostly happening in Florida, which is also a state controlled by Republicans and MAGA. But somehow this is still the fault of, I don't know, Chinese labs or something. The Democrats and their Chinese labs.
And waste and abuse like I think nobody ever thought possible.
It's unclear what Doge has found at the Social Security Administration and what its employees.
So, like, what happens when no one gets their Social Security check this year? Like, when they find out that their Social Security check was the inefficiency that was getting cut out? Because, like, when you say that, MAGA says good. Because they don't think their Social Security is what will be affected. When you say MAGA's Social Security will be affected, they're thinking of, like, the leech, illegal immigrant MAGA. Because there is illegal immigrant MAGA, there's black MAGA, there's woman MAGA. They think those are the people whose Social Security are going to get cut. Because they don't deserve it, and they do, right? But their Social Security will be cut. So when it does get cut, what will be the explanation? That's the question. Like, that's like, will they find a way to blame the last administration for their Social Security getting cut? And not just cut, but not coming. Like, period. They don't get it. Like, all these old people in retirement are fucked. Like, unless they invested heavily, like, if they're relying on their retirement, they are fucked. Like, they're not going to get paid out for their retirement. That is a lot of Trump's main voter base that are not going to be paid for things that they have paid into for decades. That's going to sting. Like, listen, America may be deranged, but when the old people that make up like 60% of Trump's voter base, who have been paying into Social Security for decades, don't get their payout because the systems that exist don't work anymore. Like, the software meant to pay them out doesn't work. The system's been destroyed. There's a million reasons why these payments aren't going to happen, and probably multiple of them will be true. It is going to be actual hellfire when that happens. Like, I am so excited for it. I cannot wait to laugh in the faces of those conservative boomers who thought their Social Security would be safe.
Ultimately got access to. Several lawsuits are challenging Doge's actions, and among the questions the courts will answer, what authority does Musk have? The White House says Musk has no formal authority over government decisions, though Trump has widely regarded him as Doge's leader.
You know what's going to be so fun? When people's roads and sidewalks in their like outside their street start to get run down, or like, because a lot of these places already have crumbling infrastructure and we're just about to get fixed up. Because remember, Biden passed the biggest infrastructure funding bill in American history. Biden and Kamala passed it back in 2022. By 2026, all of the funding would have been allocated and put into effect, but Trump canceled that. So that's not going into effect anymore. That infrastructure not getting fixed. So as that infrastructure breaks down, we're talking roads crumbling and sidewalks breaking up. Keep in mind, it is illegal to fix potholes and cracks in public sidewalks and roadways unless you are a government worker. With no government workers and no funds to fix these things, it'll still be illegal, but there'll be no one fixing these things. CNN lied about Russian collusion in Trump's first term. They actually had credibility before that. After that story blew up in their face, it killed their ratings and credibility. Mikey, I'm actually glad you brought that up, and I would love to bring you on stream so we can read the indictments against Trump's campaign, because Trump's biggest campaign heads were indicted, and convicted, sent to prison for colluding with Russia. The thing that happened was that Donald Trump's campaign and Trump were accused and taken to court over the accusation that they had colluded with Russia to spread, to do a variety of things, to push Trump propaganda using Russian money, to spread information and misinformation about the Democrats that would increase Trump's chances of winning. Basically just the idea of the campaign or anyone in the campaign colluding with Russia, with Russian interests to get Trump elected. That's a crime. That's what he was accused of. That's what his campaign was accused of. They were found guilty in the highest of federal courts. Multiple of Trump's highest campaign members were found guilty, now pardoned by Trump. Who would have thought? But they gave full testimony. Many of them literally confessed to get lighter sentences. And they outed everything. The only connection that could not be found is directly to Trump. He had fall guys like any mafia guy does. Like, you never have direct connection to you, the big man on top. You always got a few right or left-hand men who, if the cops ever come after you, everything goes back to them, but never goes back to you from them. They're the final fall guy. And so his final fall guys got found. They got caught. That's why he has a full new administration this time, because so many of his last administration went to federal prison. And just because Trump himself didn't end up in handcuffs and behind bars, the American people who will never read a court document. You will never read a court document, Mikey BME. I will read it with you on stream if you want to come on as a guest. And we can look into the fact that this is not a fucking hoax. But the fact is, most Americans aren't going to read this big indictment. They aren't going to care about these Trump campaign staffers and these higher ups in this campaign that were found guilty of colluding with Russia to help him win. They don't care. They're not going to look into it. They're not going to read hundreds of pages of court documents to find that out. They're not going to look into the Paul Manafort stuff. They don't care. And so to the average American who is only going to look at the surface level, who can frankly only be expected to look at the surface level, I'm not really blaming you, Mikey. You are of the majority here. Your perception is the media made a big hubbub about how Trump was colluding with Russia to hack our election and hack the voting machines. That was the narrative from a lot of conservative outlets, was the idea of Russian collusion meant hacking voting machines. No one claimed this. No one serious claimed this. Yes, but Trump not getting prosecuted and proven guilty, which is what CNN was laying their eggs on, no pun intended, was not a good idea. I mean, it wasn't really, like, CNN's a news outlet. Like, they definitely have a bias against Trump in the same way Fox News has a bias for Trump. I'd say it's lesser against than Fox's is for, considering how much, like, you know, Tucker Carlson literally went to court, had his texts outed by the court because they were, like, taken by the police, where he admits and, like, plans his lies to tell on the air to cover for Trump. Like, he'll say, oh, fuck, Trump said or did this. We have to find a way to spin this. We have to find a way to make people like this. We have to spin this. All those texts are out because he got sued for his misinformation shit, and the police were able to get all of his text messages, especially the ones where he claims he hates Trump and doesn't even like him, but it's a paycheck, you know? So yeah, like, I don't even think CNN's bias against Trump is as bad as Fox News's bias for Trump, because Fox News hosts have gone to court over the lies they've told to defend Trump. They have had their texts outed in which they are actively constructing narratives. Tucker Carlson was the most listened to political pundit in the country. Definitely the face of the Trump movement in terms of political pundits, besides Trump. This guy was actively planning ways of spinning Trump's actions and narratives to the Fox audience, the largest news audience in the country. And so you get CNN, who's just reporting on the situation. There are accusations against the Trump campaign of colluding with Russia because Russia has an interest in Trump getting elected more so than the Democrats. Ooh, I wonder why. That should concern you, maybe. Russia is a quite antagonistic country when it comes to American interests. Why do they think it would be best for them if Trump wins and not the Democrats? Because Russia wants America weak. That is best for Russia's interests. So would that not imply that a Trump presidency makes America weak? That's a bit concerning. Okay, they cover it maybe a little harder than most people think is fair. I can agree with that. Regardless, they're reporting on what ended up being true accusations that Trump's campaign colluded with Russia to smear Hillary and help Trump get elected because it was what was best for the Russian state government. And then on top of that, the DOJ outed literally 6 months ago that the Russian government was funding Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, the Daily Wire, and a handful of other people millions of dollars to push pro-Trump talking points. I watch CNN and Fox for entertainment, not for news. If I actually watch them, CNN and Fox are literally the same thing, just different interests. Oh my God, like I don't even want to like get mad at you because I mean you're kind of just representative of the average American, it would seem at this point, and I want to understand you, but it's actually bewildering. Like this dedication to the idea that Fox and CNN are the same, but Trump is God and infallible, and every negative thing said about Trump is a lie. It's like it's insane. It's insane. Like years ago, I would have accused you of lying and playing centrist, but this is where people are actually at. This is the level of brain melt that people are at. Mikey BME, I love you, buddy, but like, I hope you stay around as this Trump administration unfolds. I hope you stick around in the chat. I am very curious to see how you react to the next 4 years. It's going to be a wild one. Anyway, guys, if you all know what to do... Wait, that's not how I do my outro. Listen, if you all enjoyed this segment, which I hope you did, then please, if you found it entertaining, enjoyable, or educational, leave a like and a comment. It helps the channel immensely, and it is the best way to boost my content in the algorithm because it's totally free and only takes half a second, and you can do it on all my videos. And every time you do it on each video, it boosts my channel even more in the algorithm, so I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to follow my social medias, you can do so in the description linked down below, including my Discord server. It's the main hub of my community and fan base. And of course, if you want to see more from me if you want to support me directly, you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support the channel, though, I really, really do appreciate it. You all are so based in Pog, and as always, I hope you have a good one.